Wells Fargo reshuffling the ranks after two disastrous congressional hearings for the bank and its embattled CEO, John Stumpf. Well, look, the bank is still fighting back against criticism for creating millions of fraudulent accounts. And former employees are now saying they were forced to add costly overdraft protections without their customers' permission. Now, of course, some of those same former employees are also saying that once they started to refuse to go along with the scheme, they were immediately fired. Charlie Gasparino on more, specifically about, I guess, John Stumpf and where his future lies.
Well, let's just be real clear. I've covered corporate sort of implosions for much of my career. Back in 2000, 99, 2000, 2001, Stan O'Neill got many of the duties from Dave Kamansky. He was Dave Kamansky's number 2, and it presaged him running the company. And that's what you see right now. John Stumpf is now handing his duties, a lot of it to his COO right now. And what you're seeing is, that's generally that presages the next corporate move, that John Stumpf is out and that someone else in management.
This is just from what you've seen in the past and triangulating.
This is this is what's happening right now. I mean, you have his other people assuming his duties in a corporate restructuring, and when you have that, you have some real problems. I mean, that means essentially that the COO and whose name just escapes me for some reason because I was worried about a Twitter headline that we're going to talk about in a minute. Okay. The COO is probably going to become the CEO at the end of the year. He's there he is, Tim Sloan. That's right. I had a brain meltdown for a second. Mr. Sloan is now getting, I would say, about a third of John Stumpf's duties. If you look at the latest corporate restructuring, that means listen, John Stumpf.
And none of his pay.
Well, you don't know that. I mean, and here's the thing. I think after the election,
making me do this stuff.
After the new year, we should point out that it's probably a good shot that that Mr. Sloan gets the job. That's usually what happens. Now let's go to Twitter because we are hearing. Now we should point out. We should say sources. And it should be unconfirmed because no one has confirmed this. And Twitter's getting a little ride out of this thing. And we should put up, it should be unconfirmed. There's a lot of speculation out there that Prince, as you know, Twitter was down like 11% yesterday. We took it up a little bit on your show when we said there was some bankers were talking about still some interest from Salesforce and others if the price is right. So the stock popped on that, came back a little bit, but now the stock is up today, kind of a relief rally. But part of it is this, and this is pure speculation. We should say it's unconfirmed that he is considering, basically. Increasing he's got a stake, increasing his Twitter stake. And, I think, listen, if you ask me whether this is possible to happen, I would say that's a much more real possibility than Salesforce buying in at 24. I could be wrong.
Okay,
I know
let's
Salesforce.
Just let people know who might not know Al-Walid. He has huge stakes in a lot of companies. Right. Citibank,
Saudi,
he's owned.
Oil,
he used to sit on the board at News Corporation. Right. He likes to get involved.
Right. Yes, he was involved in Citicorp way back in the day, I remember. And, I could see him being a white knight for Twitter to stabilize the stock. That's something that Buffett does often. Warren Buffett does it with he did it with Wells, and he did it with other companies.
Well, he loves to bring in capital for Goldman Sachs, brought in money for...
This is something that you can see happening to stabilize the stock. And I'm not saying it is happening, and it's completely unconfirmed reports out there bouncing around. But it is helping keep the shares up. We should point out that before anybody, New York Times, CNBC, we were first on Fox Business yesterday to report that even though these talks have broken down, Salesforce, all these players, still interested in Twitter if the price is right. Our reporting was confirmed by everybody this morning and late last night after we reported it here. I will still caution anybody to get involved in this stock. You're crazy.
Okay.
If you're a retail guy, because this thing is going to be whipsawing on every report.